Hello and welcome to AstroChiron on YouTube. This is the video companion for AstroChiron.com, the one-stop shop for all things astrology, especially from a black and queer lens. Question: when's the last time you've been angry? Not annoyed, not frustrated, not upset, but genuinely and blood-boilingly angry. I find anger is an emotion that is often wrongly vilified simply because of the way people experience and express it. Astrologically, I find anger is usually associated with Mars, the planet of aggression and passion, but I think anger is far more complex than that. Perhaps pure rage and Mars are more closely and solely related. Anger isn't spontaneously experienced, as we are often triggered by something before reaching that point. I find this can be associated with the moon, the planet of gut reaction, and your emotional contact. Then there's your Mercury, the planet of thought processing and communication. This planet would reflect the way we react to the external trigger that causes us to become angry. What do you say when someone pisses you off? What happens in your brain once you've encountered whatever it is that makes you angry? So it's these three planets you should look at: Mars, Mercury, and the moon, the three M's. These three dictate one's expression of anger, how you process it, and your reaction to it. If you want a better reading of your own expression of frustration, look at your moon, Mars, and Mercury signs and give them a good mental mixing. First, as always, we start with Aries. Aries is ruled by Mars, so the Arian expression of anger is a natural one. These natives aren't naturally angry, mind you, but they are perfectly comfortable expressing the emotion and utilizing it for their benefit. Arians are triggered by a lot of things, to be honest. Again, that doesn't mean that they're always angry, but they are easily led there. There's a certain spontaneity in their emotions that may not allow for slow thinking and empathetic connection that often prevents angry outbursts. In fact, impatience is a common reaction for an angry Arian. Impatience is actually a trait that I'm perfectly comfortable pinning to Arian natives. They're very direct in their speech, even brusque or aggressive, so arguments aren't uncommon for these natives. And their tendency to be that assertive in the expression of their anger indicates that they are likely to take charge of the situation for good or bad. This could involve them taking the high road and leaving the angering situation, or this could be as dramatic as getting rid of their stumbling block in whatever way they need to. Mars isn't as easily expressed in Taurus though. In this sign, the moon takes the lead, as she is exalted in Taurus. Taurians may be triggered by impracticality and their own discomfort. That said, they're not easily triggered, honestly. As long as you keep a Taurian's life convenient and comfortable, I don't know if you'll ever see them truly angry, more so frustrated or annoyed. When they do reach that level of rage though, their reactions are very deliberate and even premeditated. This is why a truly angry Taurian is so scary. I believe this is why Taurians are known for holding grudges, mostly because they rarely react angrily in the moment. They may appear nonplussed or even calm, but they have likely just begun orchestrating their long plan of revenge or their short plan on how to exit this relationship. This is because Taurus is rather inflexible in their expression, and this may leave others facing a brick wall when they're in conflict with them. Things like apologies, attempted rectification, or even begging may not work on a truly angry Taurian. Gemini is next, and it is here that Mercury finds itself in its rulership and its exaltation. As such, Gemini relies more on their verbal nature when angry. Geminians are most triggered by inflexibility and an inability to communicate. Trying to force them into one way of being is a no-go for them. They also tend to take miscommunication very personally, especially if it's the result of laziness or lack of caring. Additionally, they're not fond of those who can't see others' point of view, since that is something they're all very willing and able to do. As I broached earlier, Geminians will usually react verbally. They will let you know exactly where you made your wrong turn with them, and if you're lucky, they'll tell you how to fix it. That said, trying to hold an argument with them is usually pointless. They're quick on their feet and will always have a response to whatever you may say. The bets with them are more likely to make them angrier at you than they are to change Gemini's mind on whatever issue you two are having. Finally, Geminians are notably irritable in the expression of their anger. You should look forward to snide comments, well-placed insults, and rolled eyes when they're angry at you. Continuing our streak of having planets in their domicile, Cancer is the next sign. Here, the moon rules, so these natives tend to lead with their triggers. Mars, however, is at his fall in this house, so the expression of these triggers can lead toward being ineffective or unproductive. That said, they tend to be triggered by their past as well as the need to protect their home and family. This can make them extremely defensive in their anger. They are very sensitive to the vibes around them, so that must be considered. Are they actually upset, or are they protecting themselves from whatever set them off? Not only that, but they may also not even be mad at you. It's more likely that you reminded them of something that once happened to them, activating a long ago expressed or suppressed emotional reaction. That makes it pretty obvious that Cancerians are led with emotional expression of their anger. They're much more likely to be angry criers, as they have a need to express their inner turmoil externally. Simply put, you won't have to wonder if they're angry with you. Most Cancerians I know would simply tell you that they are. But even if that's not the case, their faces and body languages would be very clear. Leo's not a domicile of the moon, Mercury, or Mars, so we won't be seeing a leading aspect of anger here. One of the only ways to breach a Leo's personal bubble is to look over them or outright dismiss them. Either of those will certainly trigger a Leo's anger, no matter how mellow. Even the least self-interested Leonian wants to be heard and seen by others, so disregarding them is a surefire way to piss them off. They tend to react in anger dogmatically, projecting their personal rules and intentions onto their opponent. Surely you broke one of their personal rules, and now you have to hear about it, in detail. Leonians aren't necessarily preachy, but an angry or passionate one certainly is. Finally, they're rebellious in the expression of their anger. That same dogmatic motivation can spark them to mow over their obstacle. Be careful, as their natural ability to lead others can spark a revolution against whatever made them angry. Mercury is both exalted in and the ruler of Virgo, so like Gemini, anger is very, very cerebral for Virgoans. That said, inefficiency and being uncaring are quick ways to make a Virgoan angry. These natives are always focused on how to help others around them. Even if they're more self-interested, they spend a lot of time trying not to take up too much space. When others around them are oblivious to their surroundings and uncaring to those around them, get ready to deal with a pissed off earth sign. Perhaps this is why a lot of their anger likely comes from the work they do, as their coworkers are unlikely to work as hard and their customers or clients are likely ignorant of the plights of others. Leading with Mercury, anxiety is a common reaction for an angry Virgo. Prepare to see pacing, fidgeting, and stuttering like you haven't seen before. Virgoan anger is likely to spark their attention to detail. Extremely pointed insults, thinly veiled as constructive criticism, are likely to be coming soon as well. This is because they express their anger in clear and nearly calculated ways. Their revenge may be long-standing and their anger may take a while to clear out, as they process all of the ways you pissed them off. Next is Libra, but before we hit the second half of the Zodiac, here's a word from our sponsor. You'll never guess who it is. This video is brought to you by me. I am the astrologer behind AstroChiron.com, the one-stop shop for astrological readings, articles, horoscopes, and art. The first 20 subscribers to this channel will gain access to all 20 plus written and live readings for a 40% off discount. I have a free ask feature that you can use for quick questions that I will respond to via blog post. Readings range from $25 to $200, whether you want 3 questions answered in detail all the way to a thorough hour-long or more reading from me personally via phone or video chat, discussing your entire natal chart, the aspects within it, and each planet's placement. Again, that's astrochiron.com, ASTRO-CHIRON.com. Join our community today. On to Libra, where Mars is at his detriment. If Mars is anger, Libra is passive aggression. If Mars is conflict, Libra is compromise. Don't get me wrong though, Librans do get angry. They tend to be triggered by unfairness and chaos. Place a Libran in the middle of a power struggle or an outright abuse of power and you'll see why Aries is their sister sign. That said, they will do their absolute best to keep everyone calm and happy. Compromise is the name of Libra's game, so they're usually okay with being uncomfortable in order not to rock the boat. Because of this, they don't react much at all when angry, sort of like Taurus, their fellow Venusian sign. They're very considerate in the way they come off to others, so Librans can make sure they appear calm as long as they have to. They have a huge reliance on rules, fairness, and manners, which is why injustice is so infuriating to them. As you can see, they take the high ground when expressing their anger. This typically means they don't express it at all, unless they feel like they have grounds to. Leaping from his detriment to another sign he rules, Mars finds himself in a sign he can work in as he enters Scorpio. The moon, however, is at her fall here, so their triggers tend to hurt more than they help. For this reason, their anger tends to be prompted by long-held grudges and their own intense emotional processes, things they hold on to themselves. They feel so deeply that they may push themselves to anger more often than other people push them. Their internal processes affect them more than the external world. Scorpions react with questions, analyzation, and prodding, actions native to their modern ruling planet, Pluto. They're always trying to get to the bottom of what is bothering them. They express their anger with intense confrontation and cold contempt. Mars is in his higher form here, allowing him to act not with impatience, but when his force is at its peak. Instead of using fire, he takes the time to make an explosive, able to inflict more damage in less time. The Scorpion may even seek dominance over the opponent, another urge Pluto forces him to follow. With Mercury in his detriment and fall in Sagittarius, they may not have the most conducive relationship or reaction to their anger. which is usually sparked by closed-minded thinking. They prefer freedom of thought and action, so oppression of their free will and their ability to roam triggers them. Like their fellow fire signs, Sagittarians react dogmatically, though their rigidity is based in morality while Leo's is based in personal preference. Because of this, their arguments may not be well thought out, as these types of arguments are just as subjective as a Leo's opinion. Led by the large and boisterous Jupiter, they express their anger without abandon. They're loud by nature, so they may overtake you in the volume of their voice and in passion. That said, they will likely forgive you after they express the full gamut of their frustration. The whole argument and resolution may all take place within 5 minutes, to be honest. Mars is in exaltation in stern Capricorn, but the moon is at her detriment. Perhaps this is why Capricornians are angry quite a lot. Things like broken rules anger them, but when you're as grounded in structure as most Capricornians are, you'll find yourself annoyed quite a lot, as most people break or bend most rules. But if you find someone with a lack of foresight or someone suffering from outright laziness, you'll find yourself a truly peeved Capricornian. They react coldly to their anger, if at all. In fact, this is one time that being unattuned with their emotions works out well for Capricorn, as it doesn't force them to express their anger outright. On the downside though, the expression of their anger often disregards the emotion of others. When angry, they always give off the vibe that you shouldn't fight them on whatever conflict is at hand, as they will win. I don't know if you've noticed, but it seems as if each sign's anger becomes less and less personal the farther along we go in the zodiac. For example, Aquarians are usually the most triggered by social injustice. Not much angers them personally, as they're typically able to rise above their own pet peeves or even larger disagreements. Their social graces and greater intellect tend to win out over harsher emotion. They always tend to react by trying to understand the issue or their opponent, as it's the most efficient way to solve whatever the conflict is. All this combined explains why their anger is typically expressed in a revolutionary manner. They're not usually angry at individuals so much as systems and organizations. Finally, we have Pisces, where Mercury is at his detriment and at his fall, much like in Sagittarius. Because of this, Pisceans react sporadically and sometimes nonsensically to their anger. It's like they react to their opponent's internal feelings versus their external expressions, offering someone who just cursed them out a hug rather than an insult. Pisceans tend to be triggered by feeling stuck in a situation or infiltrated by the emotions of others. Their extreme empathy tends to leave them more likely to get angry at their loved ones' frustrations rather than their own. Anger is a very tricky thing for them, as it takes a lot of their already limited energies to express it adequately. 9 times out of 10, they'd rather just let it go. They may just decide to capitulate and allow the circumstances to win rather than wasting their energy on truly being angry. And that is how each sign expresses their anger. Again, you should have taken note of your moon sign, Mercury sign, and Mars sign. Combine the 3 and that should be a pretty good read on you. Let me know how I did in the comments, and give this video a like if you liked it, and shoot me a subscription if you subscribe to... Jesus, I was gonna say if you subscribe to the vibe. Forgive me, the next series coming is for your moon sign, so get ready to be truly seen. And yes, we're going to be talking about mothers. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, much love.